Okay, so I don't really traditionally do like drama-filled videos. That is not the purpose of this channel. I just generally don't like them. But at the same time, I feel like I kinda have to talk about this. Like, as you can no doubt tell by all of the windows I have open here, this video is about ArcheAge Unchained. Or more specifically, this video is about ArcheAge Unchained and its expansion, its paid expansion, Garden of the Gods. Now, this video is completely unscripted, so I do apologize in advance if I like ramble on a little bit. Now, I have only done, I think, one single video on ArcheAge Unchained over the entire course of this channel. And with all my history with sponsors, I don't believe ever taken a sponsorship from Gamigo. However, a couple weeks ago, I did do a news video where I included a pre-roll for ArcheAge Unchained. And honestly, that was a paid pre-roll. And after doing this video, I am fairly certain that although Gamigo is, you know, a somewhat reputable company in its own right, I doubt I'm going to get paid for it. That's purely due to the contents of this video. I hope that this video actually doesn't get taken down. I'm not going to like go outright here and smack talk Gamigo, but I am going to discuss the Garden of the Gods expansion, and I'm going to give my thoughts on it, and I'm actually going to mirror the thoughts of a lot of the community. So as you can see here, the pre-order for Garden of the Gods is available, and it has been available since May 21st. The basic version of the game costs $15 or $16 and includes, you know, DLC access, pre-order exclusive items, titles, you know, and then there is the gold DLC pack, which is $30, and then the Archeum DLC pack, that's $60. And like just by looking at the DLC packs themselves, these are crazy prices for a game that is supposed to be buy once, have the entirety of the content forever completely free. Yeah, I don't know, that's kind of questionable to me. But let's go ahead and look at the official statement from the community manager, ArcheAge, I don't know their name. So it's titled, an update regarding paid expansions in ArcheAge Unchained. Hello everyone, last year when we introduced the Unchained business model to everyone, we expressed our intention and new approach regarding the business model. This was substantially different from the existing model of ArcheAge up to that point. We chose to focus that business model on an upfront access cost and make use of sales of cosmetics in the Arc Pass to support the game in the long run. With ArcheAge Unchained, the game moved away from monthly patron subscriptions, Apex, labor, tradable marketplace items, and direct sales of progression items in the marketplace. After Unchained was released, we experienced several shortcomings of the Arc Pass system, which everyone is all too aware of at this point. Regrettably, the service did not fully recover from those early flaws. Still, we are committed to ensuring that Unchained operates with sustainability in mind. And you know what? That actually does make sense. If they want to continue to grow, if you want continued content over the course of the game's life, you're going to need a source of revenue. And up till this point, as far as I'm aware, ArcheAge Unchained has remained free of pay to win. However, the game has had a very steep decline in terms of player population, and as such, I guess this is where this entire paid DLC thing stems from. After extensive internal evaluation both at Gamigo and with Exile Games, we concluded that the way forward for the game is to take dependencies away from the Arc Passes and focus instead on introducing new content in the form of game expansions, which are sustained via a one-time access cost. And you know, like other games, ESO, Guild Wars 2, WoW, Final Fantasy 14, they all include paid expansions too. I am of the opinion that paid expansions are not the issue here. I don't think anyone is really concerned with paid expansions. This decision is based on an evaluation of the market and what gamers are familiar with in games and MMOs with business models comparable to Unchained. There were statements made last year at the release of Unchained addressing how future content would be delivered. At the time, these comments reflected how we theorized the future would unfold. Due to the deficiencies mentioned, it was important for us to pivot to a retail expansion approach to continue sustaining the title. So this is in essence what happened. They decided to go ahead and charge you a one-time fee for the game. They made an announcement that the game would be a one-time fee and be free to play forever, that all content found within the game and all future content would be completely free. But after seeing a noticeable, actually probably very steep decline in revenue, they opted to instead pivot and continue charging you, even though they initially claimed that it would be, again, a one-time fee to play the game. Still, we understand these decisions regarding new content as a commitment to the future development of Unchained, and hope you understand this decision as we take this approach to continuously support ArcheAge and its loyal fan base. We want to thank our community and its vocal and engaged members for their continued support, and hope that our first expansion, Garden of the Gods, meets their expectations as an exhilarating continuation of the story of ArcheAge. Yours, the ArcheAge team. And the community, let me tell you, the community is very unhappy with this. Like, you can go through so many of these threads and just look at the sheer amount of people that are upset with the game, with the DLC, like with every aspect of how they're approaching this. There are people that have actually gone as far as taking to Twitter and call them out, voicing their discontent. Other websites like MMORPG.com have taken to this. I mean, if you go ahead and you look through their comment section, there are so many people that are voicing their concerns on this. Like, I'm not kidding. The sheer level of negative response that this has garnered is incredible. And again, in my opinion, someone that has had an active subscription to World of Warcraft, to Final Fantasy XIV, who has purchased every DLC, every expansion in Guild Wars 2, all of the expansions in the DLC and ESO, who has bought every game I possibly could. To me, this expansion, this DLC is not an issue. The price itself is not the issue. The issue to me is the fact that they had promised something to their player base, and then they went back, they retracted this, and then they opted to instead charge the player base who trusted in them, who trusted in Gamigo. I mean, let's take a look at some of these comments here. First of all, it's not about paying for a DLC. Hell, I've done that for several games, DLCs, expansions, subscriptions, but for me, it's the way in which they decided to introduce it. The first big patch ever. No notice, just a surprise message saying, well, now you gotta pay for this. See, this is another person that generally mirrors my sentiment. You have a comment like this from Celsius. Next time I lie to someone about something, I'm just gonna say that I had to pivot away from them. That makes everything better. I know that's a little off topic, but I found that comment unusually amusing. And then we actually have this comment right here, which is actually very important. I think that the funniest part is that they will have tiers, because of course they will, and Fresh Start will be a part of the later tiers only. And by later, I'm assuming they mean latter 2 tiers only, which means that they will charge you to play on a Fresh Start server every DLC. To top it all off, they have the gall to charge more money when the game is still buggy as hell, and that is pertaining to both versions. And let's not forget about this. MMO Culture's announcement that XL Games and Kakao are actually going to be moving ahead with another game, and I actually did a dedicated video on this as well, and that video was concerning a potential ArcheAge 2. As Kano alluded to when this happened, Gamigo is probably just trying to milk what they can before they lose publishing rights entirely. And you know what? That very well could be the case. Kakao now has a majority stock investment in XL Games, and they are definitely working on a game together. This game is probably, as I mentioned in my video, ArcheAge 2 or some kind of ArcheAge IP that's going to be a direct sequel or something to take over for ArcheAge, because ArcheAge is kinda dead, and you take into consideration what is going on right now, yeah, it is not looking too great. But concerning the Fresh Start servers, as you can tell, if you purchase the base version of the DLC for $16, it only comes with 2 titles, a pet, some credits, and DLC access to the Garden of the Gods. However, both the $30 version and the $60 version also come with Fresh Start server access. And if there's anything you guys should know by now, it is that when ArcheAge hits a certain point in its life where it is no longer profitable to Tryon, when Tryon still published the game, they would launch a brand new Fresh Start server to get all the whales to hop on over and start all over again. And if Gamigo are literally only going to use these DLCs, these expansions, as a means to boost the Fresh Start server population, and the funds they get from these are just going to further be funneled into creating new DLC to boost populations in new Fresh Start servers, and this is kind of just going to be like a weird repetitious cycle, then yeah, I don't know. It's just, this is all really, really terrible news. I don't know, I feel like this was a terrible way to go about it. I feel like this is terribly received. This is probably the worst reception you could have had for a DLC for an expansion announcement. Is ArcheAge a terrible game? No. ArcheAge itself is very pay to win. ArcheAge Unchained is not a terrible game either. It is very different to what people had expected it to be, but at the end of the day, neither game is terrible. They both have aspects of the game that are actually really, really well done and have yet to be replicated in any other MMO. But the DLC and how Gamigo have gone about handling this was terribly done. And honestly, all these people that are going around claiming that it is going to be a huge scam are not incorrect. You don't say that this game is going to cost a certain amount and then be free to play forever and then announce that every bit of new content is going to cost you money. That is not how you do this at all. But you know what? At the end of the day, that is just my opinion, my impressions of the current situation. What do you guys think though? Let me know down in the comments below and let's talk about it. Anyway guys, that is it for me. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. So I'll see you all next time.
Someday soon, I'm gonna make it. Yeah, all hard work's gonna be worth it. Ooh.